touch here.
It's another access point for us to try to keep the cost down for the homeowner.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. I'll look into that option and try to beat the pavement and get that tax incentive also. I know the county had talked about a tax incentive.
Right.
I would be happy to revisit that. I really want to make this project work. And how can I do that? Leveraging and working together in this community, all rowing in the same direction to make this project.
Yeah. So now I'll just finish and then I'll listen. If I promise, I'll just, it's hard to believe with me. But, like the forecast of the amount of fees we could get from Chris Mountain is kind of, there are two opportunities there. One is to receive fees. The other is that you're successful, you build on the success, and if Chris Mountain is the place this community wants to change the game, we want more of those lots to actually become workforce housing. So that would mean fewer fees for us, but I'm not just in it for fees, you know, so typically that area would build out, even after you're 50, 1/3 your homes and habitat, 1/3 market homes, and 1/3 would never be built on. And people would move up there and buy 2 or 3 lots, and they would consolidate the lots. And they would build a $2 million house, and they would enjoy that $8 million of PAWS infrastructure without ever paying a penny.
Right.
So is there a chance to get more lots dedicated to workforce housing? Is there a chance that the county would give us the assurance that there can be no more treasurer's deeds happening up there? Could we have a moratorium in a specific area on lot consolidations, so we know we're gonna have these buildable lots for workforce housing? I know you don't have the answers, I'm just saying.
No,
these
they're
are my
great
concerns.
ideas, so they're great ideas.
And the other is, I mean, you're kind of bringing the rain, right? And other people are gonna reap the crop on the other 100. Is there any?
That's the hard part, and Dole asked us the same question, like, if we're gonna give you this infrastructure fund, then it's gonna make your 55 houses more affordable, because if we didn't get this fund, then we'd have to put them out, or the roads in and the electric in along Martinez Canyon, where we've been donated lots. You've seen the road conditions out
But you
there,
know, the
it's
whole
erratic.
they started out as $80,000, $90,000 double lots. Everyone bought double lots. Some people pretty quickly flipped them for 100, 110. Developer went bust, country went bust, worthless. But now there's people holding those lots who invested in them, very little. And you're gonna bring the infrastructure and make them worthwhile. And they're just gonna cream off windfall profits.
I absolutely have no ability to de-restrict
Okay.
properties that we don't own or the county doesn't own. We've gone all the way down legal here.
All right.
We can incentivize them, though, to build affordable housing.
Right.
We can offer incentives, we can offer modifications. We also are talking about attaching a fee to the electric meter installation that will go back into a affordable housing fund that the county already has set up. So any new house that is not an affordable house would have that fee assessed and the fund get built back at the county to assist in more affordable housing. As for any of the other ideas you brought forward with the county, I need to leave that to one of the county officials to speak to.
I'm just saying, I don't know where we're gonna go. My hope is that we're gonna go 80, and we're gonna focus on 80 AMI and below. But we will consider 80 to 100 for unique projects that bring in really broad community involvement. And pencil out for PAWS, that actually, one thing that you don't mention, but I'll mention for you, you put 100 workforce homes up in Chris Mountain. They're built in Chris Mountain, and I'm figuring them at 450,000, but they'll probably appreciate, and I don't know. Anyway, let's just say 450,000. All of those homes are gonna, over the next 10 years on average, we'll be paying $64 a month in sewer fees, and that's our principal worry. We're panicked about sewer. We probably show it, but if we don't get things started at Chris Mountain and projects like this happen, even though they would be great for the community to happen, the county property downtown, the fairgrounds or mountain crossings or something like that, instead of getting on average $65 a month from each unit, we would have to treat all that waste, our own fault for entering into a silly agreement, for $3 a month. We would collect no property tax. So from 100 workforce housing units that happen up here in Chris Mountain, we would collect $1 million a decade. Same project, if it happened out at Mountain Crossings, we would collect $36,000 a decade. So if that's where this board goes, 80 and below, kind of habitat, light-tech, you're in. Above that, you got to come to us dynamically and show us numbers like you. I can just say that I'm very impressed and interested, so. Then I'll shut up.
I got a question. Where'd you count up the 26,000?
Well, all we get is $3 a month per lot when we're treating the town waste. So if you got 100, what are you gonna really collect? That's what you collect over a decade. We just collect almost nothing. Whereas if we're getting, well, just do the math on 64 versus 3, so we're gonna collect 21 times or 2,100% more for if we. And the one thing I have to say, and people may, for our sewer district, we have to collect monthly sewer fees, full monthly. If we can give people upfront discounts and get them in their houses, you know, we have to be on the same page as your cell phone. We can't afford to discount that if we're discounting the front end.
I understand.
Yeah, so that's.
It'd be like going to Walmart and
Yeah.
asking them not to charge you. I totally understand it.
So and that's where we're, and, you know, in our, like if you build apartment houses, we give developers real EU discounts.
Mhm.
We're not gonna be able to do that on sewer anymore. Like every dwelling unit's gonna have to pay a sewer fee
Yeah.
to get through it, because we're hammering, we're hitting developers for $16,000 and we charged them $1,100 last year. You know, everyone's got to pull together, so.
Right.
Couple of quick, easy questions, I
Yes.
think. First of all, I gotta say how lucky, how blessed this community is to have not only the CDC, but the cooperation that's making, not just this housing, but the broadband and everything else happen. Kudos to you guys for that. I'm kind of the history teacher, I guess, on the board. You're looking at a Chaffa home occupant right now from 1978.
Oh,
I think the second person in this county, the second family in this county to get a Chaffa loan on our house. Back in 2011, I think we even had the Paws district manager living in a camper out of Happy Camper. So, you know, these are different times, but
kind of the same.
similar situations, I guess. My question, this question, I guess, would be, what do you feel your chances of success are on the 1, 2, 3 grant funding? And that's probably not a fair question, but.
It actually is a fair question because after my 6-hour phone call with the Department of Housing, I feel like I have an 85% chance of securing that funding. We strategized, we looked at several different mechanisms. The other thing we had to factor in is the mechanisms that are available. When does the funding come in? And you can't spend any money until the funding comes in. So I have a mechanism that's called a HDG grant that opens up July 1st that could actually provide me more funding. However, it's a very highly competitive grant. It's a state grant. But that funding wouldn't come in until January next year. It won't help me with this project. These houses are to be completed and occupied by the end of December.
And I think Glenn kind of alluded to what I think, you know, there's lots of partners, many of them are in this room. Justin, to confirm, or maybe Glenn, you already did, Oz has already spent 2.some million on infrastructure. 2.3 million on infrastructure down there. And I was told, Oz also put electricity down there to certain areas because we have 2 sewer pumping stations.
Oh.
Can't run a pumping station unless you have a great big generator.
Right?
So some of that's already been paid for by many of the people in this room.
Ratepayers,
Our
yes,
customers,
sir.
our ratepayers.
$40,000. About 2
Yeah,
years ago.
at one point in time, there was a guy, I think, across the street from the lift station who wanted us to put electricity in so he could tap onto it for his house, and he threatened to sue us. So I just hope everybody realizes the gravity of the situation that we are in. And that there's been in my opinion, a substantial involvement by PAWS that goes back to 2005. Glenn alluded to I'll say the name, Eric Estrada from CHIPS in California. You know, and Recreational Properties Incorporated. You know, here we are, 10, 15 years ago, picking up that bill.
Well, I think I agree, and I really do appreciate what PAWS has previously done that is actually complementing this project so nicely. Because we could not apply for enough money to get the water and the sewer lines there. And for us to only have to ask for 1.9 million to get the rest, to finish what that developer didn't do, that burden isn't on the county, it's not on you all, it's not on the Platte Electric, it's grant funding, let's not let that go. And let's get that area perfected to where it should have been when that developer was here and perfect that situation. What you have previously done, you did for a reason that didn't include me, but we get to leverage that to make this project pencil. The property, they gave it to us at no cost. So think about, we're building a stick-built house for the 370s. And we have all these subsidies factored in, and that's still as low as we can actually get. That's impossible to build workforce housing. So thank God we have Prop 123 that we can go after, and it takes everything working together in a perfect situation for this to actually work.
And my only point was, I think you were probably aware of it, but I think many people sitting here, maybe some of those on Zoom, weren't aware of PAWS's previous work in Chris Mountain too. And there's, I assume everybody has thought about it, especially the builders. It's called Chris Mountain 2 because there's rock there, there's anything to do there, building, cutting the roads for electricity, water and sewer, gas, etc., is going to be a lot more expensive because there's rock, there's blasting, and it's just, we're going the wrong way. We want to go this way, but Mother Nature or whatever.
I can tell you, we found a rock in 6 of the 10 houses we're gonna build, and that drives the cost.
Yeah.
So I understand.
Now, your question, you said if we could just give you last year's rates, you could go ahead and do these 10 houses, is that
Yes, sir.
correct?
That would be under the assumption you are successful on the 123 grant.
Yeah, because I can make these pencil without it. I can't make them pencil without it.
So can I,
Yeah. go ahead.
One final question.
okay,
When is that grant awarded?
The grant is due on Friday. The award will be announced by, I would say, the 15th of April.
so I just want to make sure that the audience knows that PAWS has had a waiver policy from 2020. And it's gone to support the work of Habitat. It's gone to support the building at Rose Mountain.
Right.
And that's been paid for by the customers because we put a surcharge on the bills and the customers have helped build that affordable housing or helped waive those fees. What we're going to be talking about later today is what is the level of housing that we really need in our community. Is it 80%? Is it 100%? Is it 140%? What is the level of housing that we need? And should we adjust the way we waive fees to drive the market in the direction that is most needed. I know you've indicated that some of the housing meets a certain AMI. Actually, from my research, the way they're gonna determine whether this house meets the AMI is you're gonna have a deed restriction. And you can't sell the house to someone unless they meet the AMI.
Absolutely.
So if your deed restriction fits our waiver policy, it's gonna work. But we haven't seen the deed restriction. So ideally, that would have been great to have us have the deed restriction so we could see how you're qualifying these people. We've also talked with the housing authority about qualifying, how do we track these homes to make sure that they're not turning into short-term rentals? They're not turning into second homes, how do we track that? Because we don't want our staff doing that.
So we also, as the CDC, do not have the capacity to do that. Hence the reason that we want to incorporate the housing authority or the Archuleta Housing Corp. We probably will talk with both of them and see who can give us the best rate on fees. And then we'll create a partnership with them, because once we sell the house, we need to build 10 more. So we need to release our responsibility as the CDC, and then it will live with the mechanism that best suits it, that are used to doing that kind of thing. The Housing Corp has already done that. Housing Authority has done that as well. The Housing Corp has 2 deed restrictions on their, I want to say their senior living, that if they left the use the same for 30 years, their note got forgiven and they're coming up on that 30 years. So they have managed that deed restriction really well. So we have experience in this community. We absolutely are going to tie into that. This is not our area of expertise.
And so this is a chart that I've shared with the town and the county. And the orange color, we surveyed 400 workers. They weren't just government workers, but they were a variety of workers. And the orange color are people that are paying 50% of their income for housing. And they are at the low end of our workforce. The people that can afford the houses that you're building are not in the orange. This is the people who are living in their cars, they're living in their RVs. These are the people who are really struggling with housing. So is there a way that we can, this board, can aim our help to the people who are, so you're paying $2,000 for your house, you're making $4,000. How are you gonna live on that? So as we discuss this, what I wanna do is say, how can we sculpt our help to the community? Not necessarily to a certain project. Now, Glenn disagrees with me on this maybe, but not necessarily to a certain project, but to all projects to encourage people to figure out a way to do this, and to serve these people who are serving us at City Market and Walmart and all the people that we surveyed here. And I don't think you're doing a wonderful project, and I want to support it. But I don't think it's the only thing that we need in our community.
I agree.
We need the 200 and something houses, and you're going to be able to do 10 this year, and Jeff's going to be able to do 3. And how do we get a fee structure that encourages a wide range of people to come on board?
I believe that's what our multi-jurisdictional housing coordinator can actually work on. Like, how can we get more of this product, even the lower AMI, into this area? What are the subsidies we can leverage? That's part of the idea of hiring this person, because somebody needs to dedicate time and energy and resources to that effort. Our capacity is the capacity the town is, the county is. That's why we partnered on this and said, well, let's hire somebody that can do this. So we will write an RFP that we hire a qualified person that is knowledgeable, and we have funding for a couple of years for this. And then the town and the county have both committed that if we can get this moving and become successful with this regional housing coordinator, they're looking at permanently funding this position. So everybody's working in the same direction. Like I absolutely hear you, Bill. We do have a need. That's part of the reason that we partnered with Habitat, because they can hit below 80% AMI with the subsidies they can get from USDA and all of that. We can't access that because we're just a nonprofit. We're not a Habitat, but they get special concessions and they get, statewide programs that can help them offset the cost, and the USDA loan product that can help. We actually can use that USDA loan product if we have 80% AMI, and we will. But that's part of the beauty of working together. I'm helping them get electric to their houses to help them pencil down in that 60. And I'm helping them to perfect the roads where we have houses across the street from each other. I want you to know the county donated them some lots too, and we were very thoughtful. And we factored in social equity when we divided up all those lots. So we did not segregate our workforce. We integrated with low income workforce vacant lots, low income workforce vacant lots.
So their 3 houses will help you.
Yes. Yes, and they actually will go towards our More Housing Now commitment.
That brings up another question for me. So Habitat works with USDA and they have a 1% interest rate. When I went on the USDA website, pardon?
Well,
It's true, yes.
1% interest rate. So I went on the website and I looked that up, and I put in my information and I said, what kind of house can I afford through a USDA loan if I'm making $60,000? And I could afford a $500,000 house through USDA with their loan product. Now, I know you've been working with local banks. I don't think you're able to find a 1% loan with any of the banks in town.
No.
And so I'm curious if you're going to go that direction. USDA is available to nonprofits, to private builders. I mean, I think it's available widely.
To the
If
80%
you can do
AMI.
the 80% AMI.
So our first 8 houses, if they need to use that USDA, we're gonna get them in there.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
Yes, absolutely. We're gonna use any mechanism we have to. So the Homes Fund
I
has
didn't know if you were tied into using the local banks.
at all. I'm
Okay.
really tied into getting homeowners in the home. However, we have to do it. If it's through a USDA loan, if it's through the Homes Fund who has the down payment assistance, I do have a bank who's offering a 95 or 97% financing package and first-time home buyer packages with no money down. So everybody's coming to the table with a created product. We're just gonna have to fit piece by piece on what works for each homeowner and how can we get them into these houses. We have to leverage everything. It's not a one solution fits all. It can't be, because everybody's story isn't the same, their credit isn't the same, their debt to income isn't the same.
have you got the builders lined up that could do this?
We do, and I'm on the final draft of our construction contract. We've already cleared our permit at the PLPOA, and our permit is in at the county for a building permit. I think it went in today or tomorrow. So we'll be getting our building permit. Our goal is to start digging at the 1st of April and have those houses completed by December for move-in. We plan to run a lottery process. We are getting ready to release our pre-application link that we will share far and wide for anybody who would like to get into one of these homes. In there, we will have the deed restrictions so that they know exactly what they're signing up for. and then they just have to income qualify, then we will get them to the banking product that best fits for them.
Paul, you got any questions?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I built my first house over there in Trails 25 years ago. And that whole area back there behind Trails and Chris Mountain too has just been sitting there. And everybody seems to be pointing their finger at each other saying, well, it's your responsibility. No, it's your responsibility. So it absolutely thrills me that you are going in there and doing something with that property. It's just been sitting there. What a perfect project for this, and you have my support. Just say.
Thank you, sir.
I have to say that even though, again, I think I'm the easiest touch here, you're even 40, but that's just legally, that would require a multi-year development agreement. Whereas asking for 10, we would be concerned, or at least interested in what the 80-100 mix would be in year 2, 3, 4. We don't have to worry about that today. If we pass an 80 and below, you're already getting 8 out of 10. So it's a question of, is your project, does it bring more to the table than most other projects bring? And boy, it's hard to say no. I don't know many other projects that have done the legwork and the buttonholing to organize millions of dollars to install infrastructure to open up an entire area of the county. So I think it's easy on the 10. Now, again, you want to work quick, but we need documentation. We need to know that they're at 80 and the 2 are at 100. And it would be nice to, nobody has to make decisions here, but if we started to hear that, yeah, the counties, we think Glenn's kind of a knucklehead at times, but we thought that idea about, pitching in with some targeted property tax and the fire district might say, yeah, we are a little bit flush and we would like, I'm not as concerned about the fire chief, honestly. I wouldn't know.
Either, I just feel.
But the average firefighter makes 42 grand a year and they have 17 of them. I'm very concerned about them. So I know you're busy, but if you touch base with them and see if that's something that might work for the next 30. And then I just wanted I know the county has a complicated process to make these available to you. Does the county have more lots there that they could build on the success, and it could wind up being 70 or 80 workforce housing units and maybe 40 or 50 market units?
Can I defer to the county?
Yeah, I don't want to put them on the spot. I'm just throwing out ideas. So, yeah. And I know I speak for my board too much sometimes, and more proven professional people don't do that. So I respect that. So I'm just putting the ideas out.
And just a quick thought, I think you said you want to hit the ground running April 1. Is that kind of putting the cart before the horse? If you don't get the grant or notice of the success on the grant, which we all hope you get on April 15th, is that 2 weeks early?
No,
You're pretty confident.
without one hesitational doubt, sir. I really had a great meeting with the head of DOLA, with my regional director. This is where they sent me. They don't send me somewhere if they're going to set me up to fail. They already have funded the infrastructure. They already have funded the stronger communities. They already funded the local capacity grant. They know this project. The state is supporting it. They're not going to shut it down by not granting that funding.
Now, can you follow up with them and say, we got really good reception of pause? Some ideas were thrown out from guy, idea percentage is 10%, but they were actually okay. And the county followed up and they're supporting with this, and the fire district is supporting this. Does that help you with this grant, just on the edges that they know that everyone's lining up?
It's due tomorrow.
Okay.
I don't have enough time to line it up.
You better go home.
It's due tomorrow. I don't have enough time to line that up, but don't think that fell on deaf ears, because I love that idea. It's going to help the homeowner. It's going to help get this housing in the market. Why shouldn't we all just work together?
I really think that designated into the special place we're focusing on energies. And if we can just, no lot consolidations, because that will provide, more lots, whatever the percentage is for workforce. We don't,
I actually had the opportunity, Lancer Court, there are 4 lots that we're building this year. One of them is too skinny to build a house on. We have to ask for a setback variance from PLPOA. We did not consolidate the lot. We're gonna make this work. We just have to tweak the back end a little bit so that we can hit that variance that we have to hit. That's how creative we're getting. Our goal is numbers, not reduce the numbers by consolidating lots. I actually have 4 lots in another area that were all one and they were separated. There are 4 lots. I have an electric line going right through the middle. They were 2 lots and now they're 4 lots. We won't put them back. Grant funding from More Housing Now will actually pay to move that electric line for us. So we don't have to consolidate those properties. We can leave them all 4 separate.
and we can't pay for any of this infrastructure.
I'm not asking you.
No, I'm saying we can't pay for it. I'm not personally against wealthy people coming and buying lots and building $1 million houses and paying our fees and also paying our rates, which also contribute to capital because they double pay. But I'm just saying maybe Chris Mountain is a place where we really pull together and try and get as much done as we can. And we got a lot of other lots where you can build $1 million houses. You're well, coming in.
All over the county.
Yeah.
And I don't want to build those.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not a builder, in case you didn't know.
Let's
Okay.
let's move on to the next resolution.
Well, real quick, we did have, Derek wanted to speak on this.
There's one to see. Okay.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your good questions and allowing me to elaborate and give you more of the program and what it is. And my door and my phone is open and on all the time. Please feel free to reach out if you have any other questions or good ideas to help this work.
Yes. And I'm sorry.
Good evening.
Excellent.
My name is Derek Woodman. I'm the county manager, 398 Lewis Street. So I've got a letter from Rick Holt, superintendent of Archuleta School District. I'm going to read this on his behalf, and it's in support of the CDC. And then I do want to touch on a couple of your questions that I can specifically answer about county. If you got a question, go for it.
Well, Rick sent that to us. We may have all read it. We may have all read it.
Oh.
I don't know it.
Okay, I was just asked to do it, so
Yeah,
I was unaware of that.
but maybe the public wants to hear it. I don't know. If the public wants to hear it, that's fine.
I can read it.
Yeah.
So, good evening, Pause Board of Directors. Like I said, Rick Holt, Superintendent, Archuleta School District. I'm writing in support of the workforce housing project being presented by Emily Lasper, Executive Director of the Pagosa Springs Community Development Corporation. The CDC has shown incredible vision and initiative, bringing forward an essential project for our community. Without visionaries like CDC, the Archuleta School District will continue to struggle to hire the staff critical to supporting the needs of our students. It takes thoughtful coordination and willing participation of public and private resources to make workforce housing project a reality. I am requesting that PAWS engage in this project as a valuable member and keep cap fees at a reasonable rate so that the much needed workforce housing project can continue. Affordable housing is essential to the well-being of our staff and will allow us to retain and recruit quality individuals for our students deserve. Rick Holt, Superintendent, Archuleta School District. So thank you very much. A couple of things that I just wanted to touch on that were brought up, questions about the county's contributions and whatnot. So there is 5 additional lots that is in process for the tax liens presently that have already been committed to the CDC. And don't quote me exactly on this number, but I believe there's an additional 7, and then that's it. We're presently done. So those will be going into process later on in the year. And without question, I'm pretty confident to say that the county would commit those to workforce housing with the same, commitments and restrictions, deed restrictions that would go along with the others. You know, it's really difficult, as Emily said earlier, it's difficult to do deed restrictions on property that we don't own. So that's hard. As far as the county's contribution, yes, the county has already committed to this project, a waiver of the county's portion of the property tax. We have, as she stated, we have already committed to waiving all of the building permit and planning fees. And the third one would be, we do have funding available in addition to the grant funding that will support bringing electricity across the lot. And it's $2,300 per lot that it crosses, that gets into it. So the county is committed to it. We are absolutely committed to this project. Everything that I have just stated, that is also a commitment to any developer that wants to go in. We're doing it with Habitat for Humanity. And if we have a private developer that wants to go in and do workforce housing, those commitments would also be in place as well.
I mean, could you take a hard look at 15, something of that? I mean, because we're kicking in 26 grand. And we're trying to make this as affordable and as many units in the 80 and 90 range as we can get. And just, again, it's your budget. I'm not asking, but could you just take a hard look and
doing what, I'm sorry.
add a nice extensive property tax break for this specific?
It's 100%.
But I mean years, as far as years.
Oh, well, it's repetitive.
Okay.
So it starts out at 5 and they do, the individual, the homeowner at this point does have to reapply.
Okay.
But rest assured, I'm pretty confident to say that the commissioners, because, and I can't, obviously, I can't speak for commissioners in the future, but I know the current group of commissioners, all 3 are here. And they will absolutely move forward. They've already, you know, we have a few that are in process presently that are receiving the property tax incentive. And I'm pretty confident to say in the future they'll continue with that.
And I think, again, hitting it with a third time, but we encountered a lot, which was the lot consolidations. And I'm also wondering, like, you have smart planners and smart planning department, and there are ways to structure Chris Mountain. I know it's in POPO, so that's a whole nother complication with planning rules and lots that you could at least incline a lot of the development up there to be, you know, even if it's not in the 80 to 20, it's in that missing middle, at 120 by 130, and not the consolidations in the 300, that kind of stuff. Just, I'm an idiot on that stuff, but I'm impressed. I'm impressed when planners want a certain result. They have lots of tools. So I'm just wondering if those could be used up in Chris Mountain. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Anything else?
Anything else?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Okay, what, do y'all want to make a decision now, the board?
No,
No,
we
we
have
don't.
another presentation of it.
Are they up? You ready?
Yeah, I'm
We have
ready.
Leah.
Good evening. I only made a couple of hard copies. Anybody prefer?
We got it on the- Yes. It's in our-
Okay. You guys will see them.
Take it away. See, Sharon.
Okay.
All right, now we're ready.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Leah Ballard. I'm the Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity of Archuleta County. And I came to do our same presentation we do for PAWS year after year to ask for your support. In 2022, we decided to triple our historical build capacity. For about 30 years, 28, 29 years, we built 1 home per year in Archuleta County. And we're in our 3rd year doing 3 homes per year for 5 years. So this is just an update on what we've done the past couple of years and a little bit about our program. Maybe some of you guys don't know. So on to the next slide, please. We're in a 5-year plan to build 15 homes in 5 years for workforce families in Archuleta County. We've done this with the help of Archuleta County and Wyndham Pagosa donating lots to Habitat for Humanity. We get construction financing from our state organization, Habitat Colorado, which is funded through CHAPA. And we build energy efficient modular homes. We partner with Karsten out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then we put at least 15 solar panels on the roof of each of these houses. So part of our project is to increase outreach to get more partners in the community and have enough applicants to sell all these houses to our workforce. So on to the next slide, please. So we do more than just build homes. A family partnering to build with Habitat Archuleta actually works with our staff for 18 months. We're open right now for applications for our 2025 build season. So we pre-qualify these applicants, and a lot of times they apply year after year. We work for these guys year on end to help improve credit and income debt ratios so that they can qualify and they're eligible for home ownership. We qualify our applicants for USDA Rural Development 502 direct loans. And that's the 1% financing Bill was talking about. It's actually a subsidized interest, so there's a note rate. And then depending on the borrower's income, they can have down to a 1% loan. USDA sets a area loan limit for a given community, and in Archuleta County, for 80% median income and under, the area loan limit to purchase a home is $547,000. So that is the USDA's take on the cost of homes in this community, and they're using taxpayer dollars, USDA funding to get people in this income bracket into home ownership and out of renting or fifth wheels or whatever it may be. We partner with Homes Fund out of Durango to do HUD certified credit counseling. And again, that can be a really long process for some of these applicants, depending on their situation when they walk in the door the first time. And then on the houses that we build, we attach deed restrictions. It must be a primary residence. Habitat Archuleta gets first right of refusal whenever the homeowner goes to sell the home. And the reason for that is because we get different funding sources that require us to make sure that that home stays in rural areas. The state requires 100% and under AMI. So Habitat takes on that responsibility to find the next buyer whenever that comes up. Habitat Archuleta also reserves a share of the appreciation from sale price to future sale price. So we actually sell for appraised value, and then we fill the difference between that and what the homeowner can afford with a silent second mortgage that's forgiven over 30 years. So that's how we can sell for appraised value and then do the first loan amount of what the homeowner can afford. So that's, confidential information and then doesn't affect neighboring property values. So on to the next page. So as I said, 27 years, we built roughly 1 home per year. And we started our 5-year plan in 2022, that year impacting 2 adults and 4 children. In 23, we impacted 5 adults and 9 children. This year, we're partnering with 3 more families. It's 5 adults and 7 children. Their jobs, just because we like to emphasize that we work with our workforce. We've got a Wolf Creek employee, a teacher, a server, and 2 construction workers in our crew this year. So we'll be building in Chris Mountain Village 2 and Trails alongside the CDC. And that $1.9 million is going to go help fill the infrastructure in that area too for our projects as well, as Emily mentioned. So on to the next slide. So those USDA loans, we built 3 houses last year. We packaged 10 additional USDA loans for our applicants or anyone in the community at 80% and under AMI to purchase homes in our community. One of those is actually, a spec builder, Signature Homes, came to us. He had just finished a house and he offered to put a deed restriction on it so that he could sell it to one of our homeowners with this USDA loan. So that was pretty incredible. So we could offer that deed restriction for any other contractor that was interested, and you could sell for appraised value if we have homeowners that would